Comics. You love them, I love them, they're freaking awesome. Comics introduced us to new worlds, heroes larger than life, and adventures beyond our wildest dreams. Ever since I was a kid, I wanted to be like Spider-Man or Batman. And seeing comics get adapted for the big screen or even a TV show is awesome to see, when it's done properly. Post-Endgame, the MCU has been, well, for lack of a better term, crapping the bed. And while DC has had a few successes such as Batman, Penguin, Peacemaker, and the first Joker movie, everything else has been on, well, life support. Good luck, James Gunn, you got a lot riding on this movie. Needless to say, things haven't looked great for the comic adaptations for the past couple of years. But let's take a gander into the past. Over 10 years ago, when hit after hit adaptation was dropping on the market like clockwork, let's take a look at Marvel's greatest comic adaptation, Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes. But what about Spider-Verse, Wolverine and the X-Men, Daredevil, the Winter Soldier, Spider-Man 2, or what about Shh. Hush, my child, this is my video, and there are many amazing Marvel adaptations. This one just happens to be my favorite.
I tire of these geeks.
As a kid, when I chose a show, all I really cared about is if it looked cool and exciting. Did the characters have unique designs? Was there cool fights? Or something that was awesome like in Kick Buttowski? I loved superheroes and I stumbled across this show. And holy crap, does this series just pop! It was as if someone plucked these characters directly off the comic panel and dropped them into the show, complete with the bulky cinder block-like proportions superheroes are so famous for. Each character was so unique in their design you can easily tell who they are by just their silhouette. And the animation that accompanies this design is fantastic! Like, look at some of these scenes! Everything from Iron Man suiting up to fight scenes are beautiful. The battle scenes are explosive and swing across a huge scale. Some fights will just be your classic fisticuffs between Captain America and one of his old nemesis that are filled with quick and calculated moves. Other battles threaten entire cities or even the 9 realms. And the animators do an incredible job of capturing just how powerful some of these heroes are. Buildings topple, cities crumble, realms break down, yet the series so perfectly balances your suspension of disbelief, never introducing something too quickly but at a perfect brisk pace, which we'll talk about a bit later in this video. The sound design is sharp, clearly distinguishing attacks, Hawkeye's bow, Iron Man's repulsors, Cap's shield, Thor's hammer, and hundreds of other sounds. And all of them are amazing, which adds an extra level of impact. To top it all off, the vocal performance of each character is stellar. No one sounds out of place and their voices embody the characters so perfectly. Thor has that Shakespearean feel with a deep voice, casually throwing around thous and those. Cap feels ripped right out of the 40s, constantly talking like a soldier, always layered with deep respect. And Hawkeye has a quippy and sassy tone, but able to flip on a dime to a more serious one when the situation calls for it.
I will take you down.
Each Avenger is so incredibly well written, and rather than competing for the spotlight, they each feel like the main protagonists in their own right, having their own arcs, relationships, lives, struggles, and triumphs. The series doesn't attempt to rewrite or reimagine, but to pay incredible homage to them, celebrating their larger-than-life personalities, their heroism, and character. Every interaction between the Avengers is unique, having different relationships with each member of the group. Hawkeye and Panther bonded over being the quote-unquote normal people of the group and on their team-up missions. Watching them is like watching a buddy cop movie, and it's awesome. Thor and Hulk gradually grow to respect each other as warriors, even if Hulk always has a snide remark for Thor. Hulk genuinely grows to trust Thor more and more as the series progresses. And then there's Janet, the friendliest and the first to trust, practically great friends with everyone in the Avengers. Without her, the team probably would have broken apart long ago, because her immense empathy yet hopeful outlook has helped so many of the Avengers through their toughest times. Despite how much the show focuses on the relationships between the characters, the individuals still have their solo arcs as the main arcs progress. Ant-Man wrestling with his beliefs as a pacifist while being on a team that uses violence to solve most of their problems. Hulk trying to be a hero when most of the world just sees him as a monster. Thor and his strange relationship with his family, Cap feeling like he should have never woken up, Iron Man struggling with his pride, Hawkeye dealing with betrayal, and so much more. The show juggles all of these relationships, internal conflicts, and an incredibly fast-paced, ever-changing main storyline with such jaw-dropping precision I can't help but be in absolute awe of it. And it still gives every character individual moments to shine and work together as a great team. This show is amazing! Treating each character as a precious gift it has the opportunity to work with, rather than an aspect to exploit like so many modern pieces of media with legacy characters. So let's talk about that pace. Earth's Mightiest Heroes is wicked fast, and it's so awesome. In episode 1, we're introduced to Iron Man. Origin story? Heck no! You know who he is, we're jumping right into it. Massive robots, attacks on the UN and the President, Hydra attempting to take over the world, prison breaks, and more. This is just episode 1, holy crap! Immediately it starts setting up future plots and introducing you to various prisons, who S.H.I.E.L.D. is, the state of the world, and how things are just constantly getting more chaotic, and how Iron Man is attempting to carry this burden solo. It doesn't feel like we're here for the beginning of the story, but thrown into the middle of one. These introductory episodes are so crazy unique, each having completely different setting and tone. For Iron Man, we get the typical superhero of the city vibe. Thor, we're in Asgard witnessing a war against the Frost Giants and Loki. Banner and the Hulk are on the run in the desert, hunted by the world. Ant-Man and the Wasp are in a lab in the S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier. And Captain America in World War II fighting against the Red Skull. 5 opening episodes and 5 completely unique locations, stories, and characters that all work so perfectly to set up the opening act to bring all of them together to form the Avengers. Although Cap does come in a bit later. Every episode introducing characters just skips the origin story, assuming you already know who they are, wasting no time to get into the meat of the story. The only origin story we get to see is Captain America, and the writers weave it so seamlessly into the story by using it as an introduction for Kang the Conqueror. We are witnessing Cap's origin story alongside Kang as he travels back in time watching it. That is genius! The series is constantly setting up future arcs and character development. There are no wasted moments in the show. Something is always happening, giving such a satisfying feeling of progression. Kang the Conqueror that I talked about first appears in episode 4, and he doesn't confront the Avengers until episode 17. And there are dozens of examples like this where a character has a small setup in one episode and multiple later that setup is paid off. That means the entire season was perfectly laid out before they began animating anything, allowing the writers to seamlessly transition the audience from one conflict to the next, which also means we have a rich catalog of characters, especially villains. Ultron, Skrulls, Enchantress, Zemo, Kree, Loki, AIM, Hydra, Galactus, and more! We even get some special appearances of characters such as Doctor Doom, Spider-Man, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, Wolverine, and the Fantastic Four. And they don't just pop up out of nowhere, but are referenced before through conversation or in the background, such as Prison 42, which Hank Pym, Tony Stark, and Reed Richards all designed off-screen. And when director Hill talked to Tony Stark about new appearances of superheroes, she mentioned Spider-Man. And in episode 4, did you notice that in Cap's backstory, Wolverine was one of the soldiers serving alongside him? Wolverine doesn't show up again until the end of season 2. Man, I love this show! This makes the worlds of these characters feel so connected. Rather than it feeling like something was added into the story when a new character is introduced, it already feels a part of the story. Like a portion of the map that opens up in a video game you finally get to explore. And it is a crime this show was cut short to get replaced by the watered-down soil milk show that is Avengers Assemble! Earth's Mightiest Heroes is superior in every way possible, why? Anyways, the last thing I want to talk about this show is its edge. This show has stakes and consequences. This was a kid's show, and they definitely played it as such, but they really pushed that boundary sometimes. People just die in the show occasionally, but it rarely ever dwells on it. Like, you're not gonna tell me with a straight face no one died during this incident. Also, Thor definitely killed this guy. Villains are kind of terrifying in this show as well. They get their hands dirty, destroy anyone in their path, harm the innocent, humiliate heroes, and do anything to achieve their goals. Take Ultron, for instance. Slight spoiler, so you may want to skip ahead if you haven't watched the show. He's a menace! When first introduced, he just straight up kills Thor, just one-shots him on the spot. He hospitalizes Captain America and almost kills every other Avenger. He only lost because the Hulk managed to escape and rip him apart. Except Ultron isn't dead, and the next episode he takes control of S.H.I.E.L.D. and launches every nuke on the planet. What? And by this time, he makes a countermeasure for Hulk and completely stops him in his tracks. Every time Ultron appears, he is more powerful and more of a threat. And I love that he lacks all emotion in his voice and is cold with calculation and logic. I found him much more threatening than the MCU's portrayal. I'm gonna drop a big rock on the planet. That was so stupid. You have scenes of bones crunching, people getting absolutely nuked by powerful attacks, stabbed, disembodied, or beaten to a pulp, and more. You feel the impact of these blows, and while it never steps out of its territory of being a kid's show, you can definitely feel the authors and the animators eyeing that line. This is no Clone Wars with how crazy it gets for a kid's show, but the show still goes incredibly hard, man. There are plot twists that have major impact on the character relationships and the plot, betrayals and clashes of personality. The show doesn't treat you like you're dumb or just some little kid, but it takes things seriously within the context of its world. And it makes some pretty bold plot choices, all of which work out so well. Another spoiler, so be warned. But literally replacing Captain America with a Skrull at the end of season 1, and for him to remain for nearly half of season 2 where he just fights alongside the Avengers is crazy! And they completely pulled it off, like it was so good! Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes is such a labor of love for superhero and comic fans. It takes everything that makes superheroes great and brings it to life in a whole new way while honoring the legacy of these characters. And it stands as my absolute favorite Marvel comic adaptation. Although, if the third movie of Spider-Verse is as good as the first two, it may take my #1 spot. So yeah, that's all for now. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Thanks for watching my video to the end, and God bless.